Good evening. Welcome to Platform Media International Political Arena. In the past few months, the Economic Community of West African States, otherwise known as ECOWAS, has faced some disturbance and restiveness because three member states governed by the military junta, the three member states comprises of Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, has pulled out of the 40 years Economic Community of African States because of the change of government. Tonight, I have a very good person who has in-depth knowledge about West African community politics and economics, Mr. Jerry Gbadi. Jerry Gbadi, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you, Joe. Glad to be here again. All the time you invite me to come to this forum, it's always my pleasure to show up.
Thank you, Jerry. Jerry, Economic Community of West African States was formed May 28, 1975. Perhaps that was when both of us, who maybe were in the elementary schools, but we can still remember history that as at the time, Nigerian head of state, General Yakubu Gowon, formed that, brought some West African head of state, 15 member states, to form the economic ECOWAS. But in the past few months, because of the change of government, Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger left the body. Jerry, is it the beginning of the end of ECOWAS?
Oh, Joe, thanks for that question. I hope not. ECOWAS was founded the time you just mentioned, 1975. Let's see, where was I? What grade was I in? 1975. Yeah, 1975. I was in grade 7. I was in grade 7 okay. Because I got double promotion. I should have been in grade 6.
Okay.
All right. Now, Tolbert was president of Liberia, and that community, the formation of that community was to bring the West African countries together in economics, in trade, and in politics.
And including security.
Exactly, including security. But one interesting thing is that Liberia's economy at that time, we were dealing with US dollar, the economy was growing, and Liberia became a transit point for most West African countries. There are people who come work in Liberia and send back remittances to their homes, especially Ghana, Guinea, Cote d'Ivoire. Our economy was booming. Now, ECOWAS, we did not sign the protocol on free movement of people within the sub-region.
Yeah.
But finally, I think we did. Now, ECOWAS is succeeding in having one passport for all West African countries. One passport.
Free entry,
free exit, which is beautiful. But the external sources that are controlling most of these smaller French-speaking African countries is creating problems. Even ourselves, everything we are beholden to the United States of America, Liberia being a country that was founded by free American slaves, everything we do is beholden to our Americans. I hope that the pullout of those three countries should not create a ripple effect that will make other countries to...
You just mentioned it, Jerry, the ripple effect.
Yeah.
Because whatever happened to one country in the West African region, there's also what we call copycatting.
Oh, yeah.
Before we
yes.
got into the studio.
Yes.
Remember that in 1963, the first coup d'etat happened in Togo, led by Nyasigbe Yandema, where the former head of state, Olympio, was assassinated. And thereafter, coup swept the most part of Africa, Nigeria, Ghana, all over. There was a change of government, assassination of the president. So this is the reason why we are saying that there could be a threat to the existence of ECOWAS, because once these countries leave and the other countries find the benefit of not belonging to ECOWAS, they are going to leave. And what will happen to that? Security. The economic benefit that states will get from the cooperation and the union is going to evaporate. I tell you something, the Boko Haram effect that is affecting Nigeria for many years now, it is alleged that some of the arms that were used during the Libyan war has moved freely to the West African sub-region. And that's why Nigeria is not safe right now.
Yeah, Joe, that is concerning. But, sometimes it's good for you to have your own self-determination, how you govern yourself. You see, many West African countries have natural resources. The natural resources are not benefiting those countries because the external sources, external invisible or visible hands are the ones that are benefiting. Say, for example, Ghana produces a lot of cocoa, right?
Yes.
Now, I was watching a clip some time ago, 1 or 2 years ago, where the Ghanaian head of state went to Switzerland. And the lady, the Swiss prime minister, had the guts to tell the Ghanaian head of state, look, you guys produce the cocoa and export it to us. I want you to continue to do so because your cocoa is what we use to produce the best chocolate in the world. If you hear they say the best chocolate in the world comes from Switzerland, it is your cocoa that you send to us. So continue to do it.
And Nigeria produces oil.
Yeah.
Nigeria does not have a
refinery.
They produce oil, people take it away, take it back to the Western world, they refine and send it.
Liberia produces rubber.
The best rubber.
The best rubber. We are, I think, the second or the first largest rubber plantation in the world, Firestone. But what do? We do not have a single rubber processing plant in Liberia to fix tires. So all the rubber materials
taken to Italy,
taken to the United States, Akron, Ohio, and they produce tires, they produce all the other rubber materials and bring them back to us and they sell it to us. Now, what if these West African countries with the natural resources can trade among themselves? Of course, you cannot be independent to the extent no one is an island. But the fact that you have natural resources and the natural resources are benefiting Europe.
Yes.
The natural resources are benefiting Europe and the United States. That is wrong. If West African countries and the rest of sub-Saharan African countries that have all these natural resources that the Europeans and the Americans are clamoring for, let them have some respect for us, because as ones who produce these natural resources,
get a fair share.
They should give us the fair. They should create an enabling environment that we should benefit to, because if you're producing the raw materials, but you're exporting it in the raw material form.
And you get it cheap too.
Yeah, you get it cheap and you send it back to me as a finished product. Who benefits? Your country benefits, because when you are producing, your factory has a lot of people to work. Then the money is circulating.
You just mentioned something like that. Nigeria produces oil, Ghana, cocoa, Liberia,
rubber,
bauxite from Niger.
Bauxite comes from Niger.
Yes.
Sierra Leone, gold, and even bauxite.
After the change of government in Niger, we learned that there was a treaty that Niger Republic signed with France, that they take this product away from Africa. And if there was even a tax that the Niger government was paying to their colonialists after the so-called independence. And now the military junta is saying, no, that has to stop. And I think they consider the ECOWAS as an impediment to what that economic move. And therefore, they feel that the rest of ECOWAS is tied to the prosperings of their colonial masters. So they have to disengage. My fear is this, that if others find the benefit of this, it's going to lead to everybody to himself and God for us all. How do you think?
No, having ECOWAS also is beneficial to the West African countries. I can tell you, for example, Liberia was in a serious civil crisis. That country was on the brink of collapsing totally. In fact, Liberia became a pariah state later on. Stateless, no government. But it was through the intervention of ECOWAS. Thanks thanks to Babangida, hold on, Joe. Thanks to Babangida, had he not traveled from one West African country to the other, because ECOWAS, the protocol of ECOWAS, the formation of ECOWAS does not have military intervention as part of its protocol. It's treaty. It was only on economics.
Yes.
Now, but Babangida was able to convince the rest of the other West African countries, say Ghana and Sierra Leone, all the countries that committed to the ECOWAS,
ECOMOG.
peace, to the peacekeeping force, ECOMOG. Babangida was able to convince them, and they saved the nation of Liberia from dying.
You see, that's a good thing, because if all of them agree on the same thing, these three countries that are pulled out are saying that they cannot continue to get the natural resources whereby the former colonial masters would have unrestricted access to their military resources.
I agree on that. All that needs to be done is, if there was a treaty signed between Mali and France, where France is taking a lion's share from Mali, from Niger, from Burkina Faso, and all the other former French colonies, if France is taking the lion's share, let them revisit whatever agreement it is.
But again, some of the head of states or the head of states of other African countries might not agree to them, because they are sustained by their former colonial masters. I tell you what, Nigeria, President Tinubu is might not agree to that radical idea, because it is the Western power that is sustaining him. Otherwise, if Nigeria, who is the leader, also reasons with this idea of Niger, Burkina Faso, to say, well, I think we need to have a fair share. We want to reconstruct the provisions of the Treaty of ECOWAS, whereby the former military, the Western power, so to say, will not have restricted access to our natural resources. I think it's going to be a good thing. But as it is right now, they don't have the capacity to do that. And that's why Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali, they're trying to pull out. But the problem with that is that it leads to serious insecurity, which is already happening. Look at Boko Haram in Nigeria.
Yeah, you see, we got to look at the security part of it, because when one West African country is in turmoil, it sends a ripple effect to the other.
Yeah.
Okay, when Liberia was in turmoil, military turmoil, what happened? Sierra Leone felt it.
Yeah.
I fled to Sierra Leone. It didn't take long for rebels to cross over from Liberia into Sierra Leone to destabilize Sierra Leone.
They were moving to Cote d'Ivoire.
It didn't take long for them to go to Guinea. The only thing, Guinea had a strong military. What's his name? The late, I just forget I think Colonel or whatever. But he had a strong military. Guinea had fought war before, so their military was strong, made tailors, rebels, not to go as far as maybe Kankan or whatever. But, looking at it, if one country falls in problem, like I said, the other countries are not free also. It is a good thing for ECOWAS to remain intact.
Do you see the situation where these leaders will agree on restructuring the treaties of ECOWAS, so that it would have mutual benefit, at least mutual benefit?
Yes.
And not the one-way affair whereby the Western world just have unrestricted access to natural resources, which is
yes. I think level heads should prevail in ECOWAS. Level heads should prevail to talk to those three countries that have pulled out.
Now, the question I'll ask you again, Jerry, do you think that these three leaders will survive this? Because given the precedent before, any power that challenges the West, they are taken out.
If they decide to be strong and to strengthen their own military to the extent that they have no dealing with France, I am sure they could survive it. They'll be strong. But France being what it is, being a superpower in the world, and having America as its ally, having other European countries feeling that, oh, if France is kicked like the way they are kicked, the next country that is going to be kicked will be Italy, will be the United States.
You know why it will happen? Because if France feels that they are kicking them out, Western world will react because Russia and China are creeping into West Africa.
Okay, you see, that's the point. So it's going to be in the interest of even France to negotiate. If they want to use military force or use twisting arms tactics.
But again, these three countries might not negotiate differently. They have to come as a body in order to gain some political weight. What do you think?
Yeah, I want the best to be done for African countries that are producing the natural resources. You know, France has had their way for a long time, since colonialism ended in Africa. The political part of colonialism ended, but the economic part is still there. They're still controlling these countries.
Yeah.
Economically, they still.
I think the political one has gone because they did sometimes some of these states, some of these not very powerful countries like Burkina Faso and all that. France even has enormous interest, enormous influence in the determination who governs them.
Yeah.
And that's why you find that powerful leaders come out from these countries. Remember Thomas Sankara?
Oh, yeah.
He came out, was very powerful, was trying to restructure the West African states. What happened? He was taken out. Okay? I know many countries, somebody like Murtala Mohammed came, he was taken out.
Even President Talbot was taken out because of external
Laurent Gbagbo, it
was forced out.
It was a coup by France.
Yeah.
So it's a litany of political interference in West Africa, all because of our natural resources, and it's going to cause a lot of problem for the Western world.
Yeah, I hope these West African countries will think about themselves, think about their countries, think about their natural resources, how their resources should benefit their own countries. Sit with, these so-called superpowers, sit with them and say, look, let's renegotiate. This is what we want. If you want to take this, we'll give you this percentage.
Thank you, Jerry.
Not give you 80% while we take 20%.
Yes. I think, yeah, Jerry, thank you very much. We don't have much time to go further than this. I know you are an encyclopedia of West African political terrain, and I can't thank you enough. And just for before we close, I think it is important that the Western powers should renegotiate with the countries that constitute the Economic Community of West African States. Otherwise, their place will be taken over by Russia and China. Jerry, I want to thank you now because we now have Chinatown in Nigeria.
Oh yeah. In Morovia, Mandarin is now being introduced into
the language.
Curriculum of the University of Liberia.
That should be a lesson.
Every village now, the Chinese are there operating in Liberia.
Okay. That should be a lesson that the Western world should learn. And I hope it pays off for both parties. And that's what the dream of Africans is. That we should have mutual benefit for our natural resources. Just mutual, not...
It should be mutual. It shouldn't just be you taking 90% of what I'm growing and I take 10%. And my people are dying.
And there was a movie to that effect. The gold that's taken off from DRC, the people producing the gold are not benefiting. And that's everything.
No.
Okay? And that's not too much to ask. And I hope the Western world is listening.
It's not too much to ask.
Thank you, Jerry.
Let it be mutual.
Yes.
I am taking rubber from you. Here is the rubber processing plant in Liberia to hire more people.
Thank you.
Our government in Liberia is the single most employer in the country. Small number of jobs. Everybody is clamoring for it right now in Monrovia.
Yes.
It's because...
I know you're passionate about this topic.
Yes, Joe.
Thank you for coming again. And I hope the Western world is listening. Because
I hope they're listening.
Time changes everything. I'm yours sincerely, Joe Exode, on Political Arena. Thank you to the producer behind the camera for giving us this resounding production.